When you decide to trust yourself, everything changes. It's as if a switch suddenly flips inside you. Your voice gains firmness, your gaze projects confidence, and your posture begins to radiate authority and presence. Suddenly, you walk with such unwavering conviction that the world has no choice but to respond to you. People notice it. They feel it immediately. Some even think it's something supernatural, but it's not. It's not magic. It's self-confidence. And when it awakens, it almost feels like you're breaking the rules. You dare to face obstacles, weather storms, and pursue what you want with such clarity that those around you wonder, how did they do it? Where did that strength come from? Yesterday they seemed fragile and insecure. The truth is that strength has always been within you. It was just dormant, waiting to be awakened. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. The ancient Stoics trained their minds not to get stuck in doubt, but to expand and evolve. Confidence is not an inherited talent, a gift of fate, or a matter of luck. Confidence is training, conscious choice, and mental discipline. That's exactly what you're about to discover in this episode. Stoic strategies, deep reflections, and practical exercises that will shatter insecurity, rebuild your confidence, and leave you with a level of self-assurance so powerful it might feel intimidating. Your confidence will be so firm that you'll convince yourself and prove to yourself that you are worthy of the life you dream of and fully capable of achieving it. Before we begin, I just want to ask two things. Give this episode a like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started with the first step. Step 1. Recognize the root of your problems. Lack of confidence almost never appears as something massive from the start. In many cases, it begins with a criticism that echoed too loudly, a mistake you couldn't let go of, or an unfair comparison that got stuck in your memory. Gradually, these fragments accumulate until they form an invisible wall that convinces you that you're not capable. When this happens, your mind begins to distort the future. You look ahead and see nothing new. You fail to notice opportunities or alternative paths. Everything seems already written, as if you're doomed to repeat the same stumbles, carry the same defeats, and bear a constant sense of helplessness. This is the most corrosive poison of insecurity. It doesn't just drain your energy in the present, it also blocks your ability to imagine a different future. Yet the real root of the problem isn't what happened. It's where you place your attention. The more focused you are on what you cannot control, the gaze of others, their judgments, their opinions, the further you drift from your true strength. The Stoics already understood this truth. Epictetus put it clearly. It's not what happens to us, but our interpretation of it that affects us. What truly drains you isn't failure itself, but the story you repeat about it over and over. Here lies the key. Even if no one gives you confidence, you can build it yourself. It doesn't depend on applause or external validation, but on your own actions, those that remain under your control. And you can start simply. Study more than others. Train harder than expected. Invest extra hours in what will strengthen you. These are small decisions, repeated consistently, that become your first genuine victory. And that first victory changes everything. Because confidence doesn't arise from luck or a miracle. It comes from tangible proofs you give yourself. A single result, even a small one, generates powerful momentum. That momentum fuels action, creates energy, and begins to write a new narrative. When you maintain that cycle, victory after victory, you transform into someone unbreakable. Remember this well. You don't need 100 achievements to start. One is enough. A single victory is enough to ignite the flame of confidence. And the secret lies in protecting that fire, in nourishing it daily, because from it arises the strength that has the power to transform your entire life. So leave an emoji in the comments as a symbol of the flame of confidence you've decided to ignite and keep alive from this moment on. Step 2. Stop sabotaging yourself with your own judgments. Self-confidence rests on two essential pillars: feeling competent and feeling deserving. You trust yourself when you can affirm with conviction, "I know how to do this." And you also trust yourself when you feel inwardly, I've put in enough effort and therefore I deserve this outcome. What destroys these foundations is not just making a mistake, but the interpretation you give it. Imagine the following scenario. You greet someone on the street, they don't respond, and within seconds your mind fires thoughts like, "What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm worthless?" The problem wasn't in the fact itself, but in the story you built around it. The same happens in more significant situations like a work presentation. You get stuck, forget a point, feel it didn't go as expected. Instead of analyzing objectively, "I didn't prepare enough. This topic doesn't inspire me. I wasn't at my best today," you generalize into devastating phrases like, "I'm worthless, I'm incapable, I'm not cut out for this." When these types of conclusions are repeated over time, they stop being simple thoughts and start shaping your identity. It's like building a puzzle of your self-confidence using only flawed pieces. Every criticism, rejection, or misinterpreted mistake becomes a piece placed. And after years of repeating this pattern, the image in front of you is a distorted, incomplete portrait built solely on failures. Science supports this process. Professor Jerome Kagan from Harvard demonstrated that all children are naturally open, confident, and outgoing at birth. It is through painful experiences, rejections, and misinterpretations that insecurity takes hold. The brain, in an attempt to protect you, stores these memories and creates an automatic mechanism: fearful thoughts. It will go wrong. You will fail. Better not try. Not because you are incapable, but because your mind learned to associate action with danger. It's like being trapped in a cell without bars. Nothing physical stops you, only the fear you learned to obey. The Stoics already knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If something external causes you distress, the suffering does not come from the thing itself but from your judgment about it. And that you can revoke at any moment. Self-confidence is not lost in the events themselves, but in the conclusions you draw from them." Here lies one of the greatest keys of Stoicism: the power of judgment. It determines whether an experience will be a prison or a lesson. The same event can be interpreted as a humiliating failure or as an enriching opportunity. The difference doesn't lie in what happened, but in the lens you choose to use to see it. If your mind is a maze where every signal points to failure, you could have the exit right in front of you and still not see it. When you make a mistake and think, "I'm not cut out for this," judgment imprisons you. But if you say, "It was tough, but I can improve," judgment frees you. Same event, two different narratives. This is exactly where you must intervene. Don't accept a narrative that diminishes you any longer. Decide to rebuild your confidence on the foundation of truth. Mistakes are not proof of incapacity. They are steps for learning. Competence is earned through practice. Deservingness is earned through effort, and both are entirely within your control. Write in the comments, "Today I choose to train my competence and my deservingness," because every time you transform your judgment, you reclaim a fragment of your power. Step 3. Rebuild your beliefs. Sometimes the greatest enemy is not outside, but inside your own mind. That voice that appears in moments of stumbling. You make a mistake, get rejected, or fail at something important, and you hear the whisper, "You're not enough. You'll never succeed." That voice sounds convincing, but it doesn't reflect reality. It's just a distorted echo, a lie repeated so many times that it eventually seemed true. Imagine it like an overly sensitive alarm. It goes off even without a real reason. You make a mistake, and the alarm blares, "Don't try again." You get rejected, and it rings once more. Better not expose yourself anymore. Its intention is to protect you, but the effect is to imprison you. Your brain isn't designed to make you happy, it's designed to keep you safe. And when it associates pain with an action, it raises a defense mechanism called a limiting belief. A limiting belief works like an invisible chain. You can move forward, but never too far. And the cruelest part is that this chain wasn't created by the facts, but by the interpretation you gave them. Reflect on this. A presentation where you froze doesn't mean, "I'm not fit for public speaking." It simply means, "I need to prepare better." A relationship that ended doesn't mean, "No one will ever love me." It means, "This experience taught me what I need to learn to love more maturely." The pain doesn't come from the event, but from the label you choose to attach to it. That's the key. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Our life is what our thoughts make of it." That critical voice that diminishes you is not reality. It's just a thought repeated so many times that you believed it. The process to break this pattern is simple, yet powerful. Detect the emotion. Ask yourself, what exactly is this situation triggering in me? Fear of rejection? Shame for failing? Anger for losing control? Naming the emotion is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly you see what silently dominated you. Identify the origin. When did you first feel this? Maybe in your childhood, when someone ridiculed you, or perhaps in a failure that marked you deeply. That memory doesn't define who you are today, but as long as you don't acknowledge it, it will continue guiding your steps from the shadows. Reinterpret. Every mistake can be told in two ways, as condemnation or as learning. If you failed in public, it doesn't mean, "I'm not good at this." It means, "I need to prepare better," or, "This experience revealed an area to develop." Reality doesn't change, but the narrative changes everything. Transmute. Pain is pure energy. It can crush you or propel you. Instead of using failure as punishment, turn it into fuel. Tell yourself, "This strengthened me. This trained me. This prepared me for the next challenge." It's like taking a brick that was once part of a prison and placing it in the foundation of your strength. Transform a scar into armor. Ultimately, it all comes down to one question. What story will you choose to tell yourself? Your narrative can be a prison or a trampoline. It can break you, or it can forge you. The choice is entirely yours. Leave an emoji in the comments as a reminder that today, you decided to open the door that your old limiting beliefs kept closed. Step 4. Detach from the outcome and learn to trust the process. The greatest enemy of your success is not failure, but excessive attachment to the outcome. From a young age, we were conditioned to measure our worth solely by what we achieved, not by what we learned along the way. A poor grade never simply meant, "I got some answers wrong," but instead became, "I'm not good at math." A rejection was never understood as, "That person wasn't available," but as, "I'm unworthy." This distortion carries on throughout life. You dedicate yourself to a project, and if you stumble once, you conclude, "I'm not cut out for this." You talk to someone, and if you hear a no, you immediately think, "Something is wrong with me. I'm not worthy." The pain does not come from the event itself, but from the emotional weight you assign to the outcome. Confidence, however, does not arise from isolated successes, but from repeated consistency. Ask yourself, do you get nervous brushing your teeth? Of course not. Why? Because you've done it thousands of times. Daily repeated practice is what creates unshakable security. The same applies in any area of your life. When you let go of attachment to the outcome and focus your energy on disciplined repetition, everything begins to change. It's no longer about thinking, "I need this to be perfect to prove my worth," but deciding, "I will repeat this until I become solid, until I become competent." At that point, control is no longer in the hands of chance. It is in your actions. In hours of study, in repeated training sessions, in conversations you choose to face, in the pages you decide to read, in the attitudes you practice every day. And this is where true freedom lies. Acting for the sake of acting, serving for the joy of serving, producing for the satisfaction of producing, without expecting applause, grades, or external validation. As the Bhagavad Gita teaches, you have the right to action, but never to its fruits. Genuine confidence is born when you find peace in the process, not in the reward. Consider this. If your success is measured not by the applause you receive, but by the number of steps you take toward what truly matters, you will never again be a slave to the outcome. You will be free to grow, free to act, free to become the person you want to be. Start today by transforming this perspective in your mind. Leave a comment. I trust the process, not the outcome, because every time you release attachment to the result, you reclaim the strength to move forward with greater clarity and authentic freedom. Step 5. Transform the way you perceive yourself. The way you see yourself determines how far you are capable of going. This is your self-concept, the internal image you hold of yourself, shaped by your values, the decisions you make, and the internal dialogue you repeat daily. The most dangerous part is that if you don't clearly define who you want to be, your environment will end up defining it for you. Imagine your self-concept as a sacred contract signed with yourself, an unbreakable agreement that declares, "These are the actions I will take every day because they are part of my identity. No matter the fatigue, no matter the opinions of others. If it's in the contract, I fulfill it." That commitment is what builds true confidence. When what you think, what you say, and what you do align in coherence, you can say with certainty, "I trust myself." One of the greatest sources of insecurity is not failure, it's incongruence. Feeling one thing, promising another, and acting differently. That internal fissure corrodes self-esteem faster than any external criticism. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance, and it's one of the main thieves of self-confidence. That's why confidence doesn't come from motivational phrases or pretty declarations, but from concrete actions. You don't wait to feel motivated to act. You act to awaken motivation. Imagine this. You wake up tired, without energy, without the desire to do anything. If you wait for the mood to arrive, you'll spend the entire day paralyzed. But if you decide to behave like the person you want to become, you get up, complete a task, honor your contract with yourself, and then everything changes. Energy appears, confidence grows, and your mind understands. I can count on myself. This is the true power of self-concept. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You need to prove it to yourself, that you are faithful to who you decided to be. If this lesson resonated with you, leave a comment. I honor the contract with myself. Because every time you act in alignment with your identity, you reinforce a confidence that nothing and no one can shake. Step 6. Act to become. Don't wait to become something before you start acting. Act so you can become it. This is the principle that transforms dreams into tangible realities. First, you take the step. First, you do it, and then your identity forms and accompanies you. The big trap most people fall into is thinking the opposite. When I have more confidence, I'll take action. When I achieve success, I'll behave like someone successful. But life doesn't work that way. If you wait to have before starting, you never take the first step. The real order is this. First you act, then you persevere. Position yourself, and only then does your identity align with what you build. That's why every day you should ask yourself the essential question, is this action, this thought, this decision in alignment with the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, you are moving in the right direction. If no, adjust your attitude immediately, because every choice you make is a brick in the construction of your ideal self. Even the Bible teaches this principle clearly. In Matthew it is written, "To whoever has, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, even what they have will be taken away." This is not just about material possessions, but a universal law about movement and inertia. Those who already act find more strength to keep acting. Those who cultivate discipline discover more opportunities to grow. Those who take action attract more momentum. On the contrary, those who hide, cling to fear, or wait for the perfect condition to start end up losing even the little they had, because inertia eventually devours everything. It's like a muscle. If you use it, it strengthens. If you leave it idle, it weakens. Life works on the same principle. The small things you consistently do multiply. What you abandon disappears. That is the secret. Don't wait for confidence to move. Act to earn it. Don't wait for motivation to begin. Start to awaken it. Action is the seed, and every time you plant, life responds. For the Stoics, no one is born fully prepared. What gives you direction is clarity about who you want to become. It's not about inventing a perfect, unattainable ideal, but about defining a standard of character, courage, discipline, and integrity that serves as a compass, guiding each of your choices and actions. That is why identity does not precede action. It emerges from it. You behave like the person you aspire to be, and step by step, you begin to become that version. Because in the end, it is not waiting that transforms you, but practice. The future you dream of doesn't start tomorrow. It has already begun in the way you are acting today. Step 7. Forge a disciplined mindset. How many times have you promised yourself to change, train, study, stop procrastinating, only to give up a few days later? That is one of the deepest wounds, realizing that you cannot trust your own word. Every time it happens, your mind records a silent message. What I promise, I don't keep. And when that signal repeats, self-confidence begins to crumble. Discipline is the way back. Imagine it as a trust bank account. Every fulfilled commitment is a deposit. Every excuse is a withdrawal. With a low balance, you sabotage yourself, doubt yourself, and lose direction. With a high balance, you walk with certainty because you no longer rely on mere wishes, you have real evidence. A river doesn't carve through rock because it is stronger than the rock, but because it never stops flowing. That is discipline, a steady current. Small, repeated actions every day ultimately open a path where it seemed impossible. It's not spectacle, it's consistency. It's not luck, it's deliberate direction. For the Stoics, this had a name: self-mastery. Self-respect doesn't arise from motivational quotes, but from acting in alignment with what is right, especially when surrendering would be easier. The confidence you seek is not the cause of discipline, it is its consequence. Every time you uphold what you decided, your mind learns, I can count on myself. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly, people without discipline feel neither respect nor love for themselves because they accept living below what they are capable of. Think of a professional with extraordinary talent, someone who could reach astonishing levels, yet never maintains the dedication required. They start a project with enthusiasm, but abandon it at the first difficulty. They make brilliant plans but replace commitment with easy distractions. The result? What could have been greatness becomes just another unfulfilled promise. It's like living off withdrawals without making deposits. Sooner or later, the balance reaches zero, and along with it disappears self-confidence. And the cruelest part is that it's not the world that limits them, it's themselves. Lack of discipline doesn't just steal external achievements, it robs internal respect, that intimate certainty that they could have been so much more. This is how silent self-disdain takes root, not because of missing talent, but because of missing consistency. Without discipline, you sabotage yourself and shrink. In contrast, every time you honor your word, even silently, you make a deposit in the bank of your confidence. And little by little, that balance grows along with the conviction that you can uphold any goal you set. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the deepest act of respect for the person you decided to become. And the more you honor that respect, the less the world can intimidate you because inside, you are already unbreakable. In the end, it is not confidence that gives rise to discipline. It is discipline that builds true confidence. Step 8. Work on yourself to escape the ordinary. The most dangerous weakness isn't the one that comes from outside. It's the one you cultivate within, complacency. It makes no noise, it intimidates no one, yet little by little it silently steals your strength until one day you wake up and realize you haven't lived even half of what you were capable of living. Mediocrity is stealthy. It hides behind the mask of routine, comfort, and excuses that seem harmless. You don't notice when it begins, but suddenly you find yourself trapped in the same cycle, repeating identical days, convincing yourself that this monotony is normal. It's like a still lake, calm on the surface, yet beneath it gathers mud and loses life. The longer it remains unmoved, the harder it becomes to see beyond the surface. And you've probably felt that weight. The discomfort of knowing you could give more, yet remaining stuck in the same place. Every time you accept living below your potential, you reinforce that invisible prison. Imagine a bird born inside a cage. It has never known another horizon beyond the bars. And when the door finally opens, it hesitates to fly. Not because it can't, but because its mind has grown accustomed to limits. Many live this way, prisoners of small patterns that exist only because they never dared to act with true self-confidence. The Stoics remembered that excellence is not a privilege of the few, it is the result of practice. It's not about waiting for the world to push you to change, but about making the radical decision never to live on autopilot. So, if you feel mediocrity surrounding you, ask yourself directly, in what area of my life have I become complacent? Perhaps at work, doing only the minimum to avoid criticism. Perhaps in your health, postponing changes you've known for a long time you need. Perhaps in your mind, repeating old ideas that lead nowhere. The way out isn't waiting for some grand inspiration. It's moving now. Small decisions can break the cycle. 5 minutes of exercise when your mind wants rest. Completing that task you've delayed for months. Making that decision you know you can no longer avoid. Mediocrity only survives in the field of conformity. Confidence is never born from comfort. It's born from movement. The moment to break from the ordinary is not tomorrow. It's today. Write in the comments, "Today I break from mediocrity." Because remaining in weakness is choosing to stay small, but taking action, even small steps, is choosing to leave the cage, cross the stagnant lake, and reclaim the confidence of someone who has decided never again to settle for less than what they are capable of becoming. Step 9. Release the hidden potential within you. Your greatest weakness isn't the fear of failure, it's continuing to hide the strength you already possess. How many times have you kept an idea to yourself, silenced your voice, or refrained from acting because you thought you weren't enough? That repeated silence shrinks your life and simultaneously diminishes your confidence. But understand this: everything you need to begin is already within you. The problem is that you've become accustomed to focusing only on your flaws and have forgotten to acknowledge the resources that have always been with you. It's like someone sitting on a chest full of tools, complaining they have nothing to build with. Your potential doesn't suddenly appear like magic. It is unlocked only when you move. Every time you face a challenge, every time you take a step despite fear, you awaken something that was sleeping within you. That is how true confidence is born, not from waiting to feel secure, but from acting and proving to yourself that you can. The Stoics understood this very well. They did not define themselves by the positions they held, but by the courage to remain faithful to their virtues amid adversity. Their confidence was not inherited. It was the fruit of constant training. The same applies to you. It's not destiny that dictates who you are, but the decisions you uphold day by day. Consider this. If until now you've been hiding the best of yourself, what could happen if you start unleashing that strength outward? Imagine the life you could build when you stop asking for permission and begin acting with authority over yourself. It doesn't matter how long you've doubted yourself. A single firm decision is enough to change your path. What once seemed like weakness can transform into power. What you believe to be a limit can become your new starting point. Self-confidence isn't about waiting for the world to believe in you. It's about becoming living proof of your own strength. Write in the comments, "Today I release my true potential." Because in the end, the greatest prison is choosing to live small, and the greatest freedom is acting like someone who knows they were born great. Thank you for reaching this point. If this episode helped you see life from a new perspective, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here we'll continue together, reflecting, growing, and strengthening our inner power.